America has shown its true obnoxious capitalist face, squeezing the last bloody dime from Ukraine, who is paying an astronomical price for its freedom with their own blood, resources, and the future generations' money. A freedom that might not be threatened if NATO and America had respected certain boundaries. Today, we will dive deeper and expose what is really behind history's largest proxy conflict. The war lasted too long to be just the conflict between two countries. Obviously, there is a bigger geopolitical business going on here. While the world keeps supporting Ukraine at all costs, there is one country that might have a double game: the United States of America. Let's find out the truth together. But before we do, don't forget to smash the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and give this video a thumbs up. Since the beginning of the war, the West made us think that it supports Ukraine fully and will help to rebuild the country in any case. But did we see any real help during this time? Seems like Vladimir Zelensky has to beg for every weapon supply. The reality of the Ukrainian war is much darker than we initially thought, and the outcome might not be as bright as we initially expected. Right now, Ukraine is at a crossroads. The country's government has to choose between economic stability and military success. For example, every time Ukraine successfully hits Russian posts in Crimea, Russian drones strike Ukrainian infrastructure in reply, causing huge damage. Moreover, the economic burden is rising, exacerbated by a rapidly aging population and a high number of war-disabled citizens. As international support wanes, Ukraine's prospects grow bleaker. But perhaps the most unsettling revelation is the disheartened state of the Ukrainian army itself. Missile supply is disrupted, the enemy is stronger than it's ever been, and there is no sign that the war will be over in the near future. As the intensity of the military offensive in Ukraine quietly ebbs away, the cracks in Ukraine's support system become increasingly visible. Critical questions remain unanswered. Where would Ukraine get sufficient weaponry, and how could they possibly rebuild their military when it appears that their army is lacking soldiers? President Zelensky's spirited efforts to get financial aid and support from the Western world have regrettably fallen. Now, it's too expensive for the West to help Ukrainians, since they are more concerned about the outcome of the elections and the political support within countries. Key members of Team Biden and other ardent champions of Ukraine are gradually reshaping their narrative. They are changing the once promised great Ukraine victory upon the counteroffensive towards a disconcerting new storyline: the possibility of an enduring multi-year war. Poland, one of the biggest allies of Ukraine, showed its true face as well. Polish President Duda's recent actions appear to be more about political maneuvering to safeguard his electoral prospects. Recent grain supply issues between countries were mere populism. As well, Prime Minister Morawiecki has declared that no new weapon will be supplied to Ukraine. It's strange to hear when Western leaders promise to help with rebuilding Ukraine while such economic and political events are taking place. Doesn't it seem strange that their actions so differ from their statements? But why does the US and NATO need this war? Basically, the biggest interest of these countries is to wear Putin's country out, and the long-term conflict is the easiest way to do it. While Russian and Chinese economies sink, the US finally flourishes. Nevertheless, Putin has his own plan. During the summer, Russian armed forces were piling up missiles while using them for their attacks on drones. Therefore, this autumn, Ukrainians should expect harder infrastructure strikes. While Zelensky tries to advertise Ukraine to all possible investors, hardly anybody would want to put their money into such a risky project. But even if he finds money, the number of Ukrainians capable of work significantly decreased over the last years. So there is not only financial, but employment crisis as well. So right now, the whole world has to choose. Either the war will end fast, but without economic profit for the US, or the conflict will last as long as the Ukrainian country will exist. While the world's support for Ukraine has been pronounced, questions arise about the true extent of assistance provided. And if the economic pressure on Ukraine continues to be so hard, Ukraine might even consider territorial compromises, which will be one of the biggest controversies and shames in the modern history of Ukraine.